So hello, it's me again, Station Films. So I've already did a review on Shed 17, so here am I doing a review on Project G-1, the sequel of Shed 17. Is it any good? Is it bad? Is it worse? Is it better? Does it learn from the mistakes? Well, let's find out. But before, here's the summary. So after getting jump scared with a loud scream, we basically get thrown back into the same location we left off. Shed 17, where we see Thomas's lifeless corpse. Oh yeah, they're also shooting the thing that was inside the tank. So after we learn about how the world reacted to the documentary, and also learn about how Soldor is being avoided now because of biofusion and there is struggles, they're losing customers. And also reintroduced to Keith Hatley and the narrator, we learn that the media is blaming him because, well, they got no one else better to blame. The government decided to ban biofusion. And according to Ringo Starr himself, that meant that everyone that was in process needed to be biofused. And the only way to do that is...
Trucks, particularly the faceless ones, rarely had the brain capacity to retain long-term memory.
Yeah. People were turned into trucks. After that, we learned about the whereabouts of Doc and Oliver. Two childhood friends that were into trains, but since biofusion is illegal now, they had to move out. They moved to Japan in the hopes of working in their railway. However, arriving in Japan, they learned that they were in for a very different treatment. They were basically dragged along to this box fight between biofused engines. And Doc and Oliver received quite the transformation. They pretty much start beating the shit out of each other, both knowing that this was a battle to their death. And unfortunately for Oliver, Doc came on top. Poor guy. Then we get introduced to Hit Logistics, the company that will continue the plans of biofusion illegally. They went about collecting every single machinery of biofusion, including Owen Roof. Yes, Owen is a villain now. And his biggest dream is to proceed Project G-1. Something about changing DNA to do what it wants to do. And then we get introduced to the characters Kevin Diesel and Annie Clarabella, who got married, and for some reason they think that the best next option is to be biofused. While Diesel became a Diesel, Annie's cells divided into two, meaning that they formed two coaches, though these twins were far from identical. When they tried Annie and Clarabelle out, I'm sorry to say, the passengers went by without thinking of where the organs would be. And well, they paid the price. That meant that Annie and Clarabelle would be banned from work, and Diesel would have to choose one of his wives, to spend the rest of his life with. It didn't really take too long for him to choose which coach he would spend his life with. So yeah, he's now just gonna stay in the shed forever and ever. And Clarabelle will just be experimented on, I guess. Speaking of experiments, they are now testing out twins to see what they can do. These experiments would go too far, proven by Donald and Douglas, who unfortunately was teared apart and blown away. We also get introduced to these war tanks. They're genuinely not important. All you need to know is that when they fire, they scream in pain. Then we get introduced to these groups of people called the Steamy. A bunch of people who had since arrived because of biofusion. Some of them got a job in the railway, and the others mostly like to fuck around with the engines, not caring about their priorities, constantly spinning James around as if he's just a train toy, which made James pretty sick. Eventually, people started to ask why this happened, which led to protest, which led to the deaths of beloved characters like James and Edward. That unfortunately includes Annie and Clarabelle, who, because they're clones of each other and can feel each other, I'm sorry to say, this led to a very sad ending for Annie and Clarabelle. That had obviously broken Diesel, so he decided to get out, establishing his own protest. A protest in the hopes of making solder for engines and giving rights to those who are biofused. While everyone is protesting, we learned about this place called the Blue Mountain Quarry and this character, Ferdinand, who has an addiction of Welsh coal. This thing that makes engines really energetic, it can ready to work, and high pretty much. Then we get introduced to this character called Smodger. He lived a happy life, I guess, until his mine ran out of money and turned him into a steam generator. And then they forgot about him. Until one day, Solder Research came for him to destroy him, kill him pretty much. But then, because of his organs somehow combining themselves with the shed, he just couldn't be separated. At last, Cranky has had enough of all these biofusion stuffs and decided to destroy their building. Unfortunately, killing himself in the process. He wouldn't be the only one on who killed himself while destroying Hit Logistics, as Diesel came racing down to destroy himself, releasing a thing called Project G-1, the thing that Owen was working on. And with a path to escape and the DNA is bothered, there was no stopping it. Project G-1 was about to come out. It killed and destroyed everything in the process in order to form itself. And with that, here comes Project G-1. While everyone tries to run, the military tries to take care of the monster, but to no use. After supposedly defeating the army, it made itself away to Soldor Island, where in the quarry, all the biofuels matter would be there, so it would make itself stronger and faster and stuff. As it's arrived, the military provided with something that it might like. That thing being no one other than Thomas, the not-so-tank engine. He lifted his arm up, which the monster has understood as one sign of peace. It have found Thomas. It raised its hand and to give him a handshake. All seemed well when basically a really rounded boulder, who apparently is made out of biofused matter, was kaboomed from its place and was now being used as a weapon. After Thomas screams no, he felt alone with all his friends that he's lost. Yes, that thing was his friends. Fortunately, Keith was on his side. Oh, what is happening? Holy shit. Yeah, what a surprise. After some small images of information of what happened next, and the really cool Sir Topham Hatt scene, we learned that Keith was turned into a truck. And we also get the scene with Diesel 10. And then the movie ends. And boy, what a movie. Let's talk about it. Okay, so before we get into the bigger stuff, we gotta get into some nitpicks. There's some small gripes. Nothing to say here, so let's go. Okay, so the beginning dialogue was slightly generic. It was. But alright, I actually like the beginning. I like the effects going on. I think the animation was done well. The fan art thing was cute, yet kinda cringe. Was this model railway guy I supposed to be anyone? He looks different from the other characters. The designs of these robots are inaccurate but cool. Inaccurate as in, where are their organs? Again, with the hand things, why do they have hands? I mean, okay, fine, it can be excused for here. But where are their organs? They're just machines. Although we kind of escaped from the Doc and Oliver fight, we kind of didn't know the fate of these two until the third movie.
Annie Clarabella and Kevin Diesel had met as real enthusiasts, fallen in love, and gotten married within weeks of meeting. The next step in their eyes was to become biofused. It was the most romantic thing in their eyes. He would become an engine, she a coach, and they would ride the rails together.
Why? Why is it romantic? What's so romantic about being a train or a coach? Okay, here's gonna kind of spitfire a few. I don't think a documentary would remake that. Is that woman supposed to be anyone? Why wouldn't they just cover the organs with cloth? Why? Ooh, that looks painful. I think it would probably kill Annie and Clarabelle. And why didn't anyone stop after the first guy sat down? I mean, I guess it could be because everyone sat down at the same time, but come on, that can't be it. And finally, there's an anal in that toilet, isn't there? Because if there is, then first of all, ew, and second of all, nah, just kidding. I don't fuck in the ass. I prefer the pull. Am I the only one who thinks that Edward and James's deaths are kinda exaggerated? I'm not calling them bad. I'm not calling them good. Just exaggerated ever so slightly. Hmm, what a weird combination of characters and location. The Blue Mountain Quarry, Ferdinand, fucking Boulder later on in the movie. And speaking of Ferdinand, I don't know why, but I think I found a new appreciation for Ferdinand. And that is not Welsh coal. I'm sorry, but that is not Welsh coal. Okay, so how did Gordon set the station on fire? He doesn't have any hands. Well, outside hands, so how did he do that? Honestly, Spencer in this is so forgettable. Cranky can't move like that, but whatever. And Cranky could have heard someone swinging that ball around, as well as Diesel. And also, the running away scene where everyone just runs away was honestly very well done. I like it. Well done, Paul. How did the monsters grab the faces through the bars? How did it do that? And how was this thing able to generate a stuff like wheels, wires, and a whole fucking engine?
It became clear where its goal was. More biofuel cells, more life, more engines. It had to assimilate cells to grow, to live, to spread. Blue Mountain Quarry. The site of thousands of tons of dead, desiccated biofused matter, hidden from the outside world.
How did this thing knew that the biofused matter was located at Blue Mountain Quarry? Who told it that? Why didn't the thing just move out of the way when the boulder was coming for it? The Sir Topham Hatt scene was pretty cool. Probably the best Sir Topham Hatt telling off character scene from any Thomas fan and film. Well done, Paul. As well as the Diesel 10. I like the voice acting in it. Okay, so time for the review. Let's see what I think of it. So, this feels more like a movie than a documentary. You see, Paul tries his hardest to include stuff that I don't think it would make sense for a documentary to do. Again, I don't watch documentaries that much, but I think this feels more like a movie than it does a documentary. Also, this feels more comical than the rest of the movies that came before and after this. Like example, the "it was time for Thomas to leave" meme being mentioned in the end. The animation improved, but not by much. Though, in a lot of places, yeah, the animation improved.
Annie Clarabella and Kevin Diesel had met as rail enthusiasts, fallen in love, and gotten married within weeks of meeting. The next step in their eyes was to become biofused.
Damn, the narration really sounded happy while introducing Diesel and Annie. In fact, the narration sounds more happy like that in a few times, like sounding more sinister than sounding serious like the old narration. But it didn't start like that. It started exactly how Shed 17 would. Not to mention, in a few spots around there, the movie just the narration of the movie was indeed a little bit serious, but on the others, it felt like it was parodying Shed 17 more than anything. Which again is why this feels more comical than the rest of the movies. So, these biofused organs can grow and extend. Why wasn't this ever brought up again? How does it do that? Honestly, that no was amazing. Very well done job by the voice actor. Though the end and kill broke the logic. Like, dude, for how long was Thomas just sitting there depressed? Like, just Keith was Keith really just standing there all that time, saying all that stuff, and then Thomas just randomly decides to grab him? What? Also, how did the documentary knew all the stuff about the future? Like, how does it know that? It's just a documentary, right? So that's why this feels more like a movie than a documentary. This movie's coherent plot line is all over the place. What do I mean? Well, it was so hard to even summarize this movie. I mean, Jesus. Like, it's all over the place, the plot. Like, listen, Shed 17 wasn't like this. There was a lot of little logical stuff here and there. For example, after Thomas got hit by a train and turned into an engine, there has been lots of accidents around. That would lead to Gordon, who had his boiler explode. His boiler explosion has caused everyone to get harmed. And since they couldn't call all the ambulances or the fire brigade, or else their secrets would be exposed, they would use Harold. They were a little bit afraid of using Harold because previously, while trying to fuel another fuel powered thing, she burned her entire organ system. So after Harold failed, they got Henry to clean out the mess, which would lead off to Thomas's death. See, that feels slightly connected. Sure, not everything from that is connected, like Percy's death not having anything to do with Wilhelm's death, but at least it feels slightly connected. But now, try to tell me how Smodger's death has any correlation with Welsh Coal. This movie feels all over the place. I'm so sorry. Like, we got introduced to the Doc and Oliver thing too quickly. Edward and James felt like they died too early in the movie. I feel like they should have died at the same time that Annie and Clarabelle died. So, why is Gordon here? Why is a lot of characters here when they should be dead? Gordon got his boiler exploded. God damn it. Go back into being dead, Gordon. Oh, why would you say that about your favorite character? I'll tell you why. Because that removes the stakes, the consequences, the everything from the death of Gordon. If the engines can just come back to life, then why should I care about them dying? They'll be perfectly fine. Oh, wait, I have a bone to pick with the third movie I'm about to reveal. And why? How is Gordon here anyway? Again, he couldn't move an inch of his wheel without blowing up. He fucking died, and yet here he is, just all happy and jolly, trying to avoid the steamies. What? And now the whole live action thing doesn't even make any sense. Now it makes lesser sense. Like, huh? Where do I even begin? For example, Hit Era, the Hit Entertainment Company, is now Hit Logistics. Uh, Doc and Oliver left Soldor and became in box fighters. There has been more engines that died. Honestly, I still think that the live action thing was stupid. And finally, probably a slightly controversial one, but I don't think that Shed 17 needed a sequel. As in, at all. Not only because I'm not thrilled about the idea of having to do 3 videos before October comes out, up, and already came out by the time you're watching this, but also because I just don't think it was necessarily. Shed 17 was a perfectly fine turd as it is. We didn't need another movie to fuck up the logic even more. Not that I don't like Project G-1, but you know, not satisfied. Okay, so obviously I can't make a review without addressing the deleted scene. Now, about the deleted scene. Uh, this is complicated. Let's just talk about it. Okay, so like before I get into the infamous deleted scene that you know what I'm talking about, I just thought I would mention the deleted scene with James, where he basically just takes a shit.
Spinning him round until everyone had a go.
Okay, now to talk about the deleted scene everyone knows about and the one that I'm talking about. In this deleted scene, Smodger basically, well,
A sitting duck for the steamies.
Yeah. Come on. Come on, do it.
Go on, do it. Do it. Go on. Do it.
Yeah. Come on. Come on, do it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Go on.
Come on.
Go on, do it. No. Oh, get out of here. No, don't do that. Get out. No. No, no, stop it. Stop. No. Ooh. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, gee. Ah. Oh. No. No. Oh. No.
yeah, yeah, that was quite of a deleted scene. Okay, so first of all, again, with the recreations, no documentary would remake this. Like, them, what's up with these documentaries just remaking stuff that they're not supposed to? What is wrong with these people? Second of all, how does the documentary know this? Did the Steamies just admit to these crimes? Like, what? Third, did nobody that was working on Shed 17, especially anyone around Paul, just thought, hey, isn't that going too far? Like, isn't the voice actor of Smodger just looked at the script and was like, hey, isn't this going too far? Yeah, I'm just glad that this scene was deleted But I'm pretty sure it's because his channel got blocked, but not because of the backlash, but I'm not too sure. I forgot. Well, yeah. I'm just glad that Paul learned from this, and hopefully he won't do it again. Like, wow. Why even do it to begin with? That he thought that Smodger getting you know what was scary, because if it did, then yikes. So yeah, in conclusion, Project G1 is an unnecessarily sequel with an abysmal deleted scene. Like I said, I don't think that Shed 17 really needed a sequel. I think it would have been fine just on its own. It's already a confusing movie, and then this just comes along to make it even more confusing. Not to mention that, again, the plot line is all over the place, so like it gets confusing to pace with it. That's why it feels so fast. Like, just 10 minutes, as if it takes 10 minutes. Wow. Yeah, by far, it's not really doing great. And I still got one more movie to review. So yeah, Project G1 is not that good. It has some slightly good elements, but not enough to save it. And with that, my review just comes to an end. What a roller coaster. Uh, well, nothing more to say, so thank you for watching, and I see you next time. And remember, don't attack Paul or anyone else who enjoys Project G1. Bye.